Hey everybody, how's it going? Seems to be working there. Yeah. Okay. Hi. What's up? It's been a little bit, and I picked up a couple things this weekend, so I thought I'd just kind of share and show you what's what. Managed to. Well, let's start with this one. I posted this on Twitter, and just wanted to show you as well because I don't know the art more often than not wins out for me over writing. And this is a fine example of that. It's not that the story and everything, there's not a thread of a story through this. It's just not the strongest thread. There's some interesting things going on for sure, but it's the art that appeals to me about this. From Hollow Press, I've shown them before. I think a couple of others on YouTube have shown before, including Earl Grey. Um, really amazing company, and these books here with the silver from Tetsunori Tawaraya that are printed kind of silver ink on this black plike paper, which is plastic-like paper that has a really great kind of feel to it, have really just been incredible things to look at. I mean, you can see even on camera, it doesn't quite do it justice like it does in real life, face to face, but it's an incredible, it's a hell of a book. Look at that. Sort of a Burroughs meets Cronenberg story here going on, where this doctor actually gets sucked into a disease and is kind of fighting this disease in a world that kind of manifests itself as these creatures. Interesting kind of out there premise for sure, and the artwork really just speaks to the whole thing. Um, yeah, it's a hell of a read. And I mean, again, these kind of things, they're a little more on the pricey side, but I really like supporting companies like this. And there's the back there. So to me, it's worth every penny. I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I know that not everybody will feel justified in spending that money for something like this. But if you do find yourself on Hollow Press or just interested in any of these images, I highly recommend. I recommend picking them up. I think Gress was the other one that was picking these up as well. I think she said she had a couple. So that was kind of the mail call. And again, part of it for me is the joy of having success selling on Discogs. So I've got some money sitting in a PayPal, basically trading away CDs for stuff that I want. Um, so I urge everybody to sell stuff. Don't just keep everything. Sell it, trade it in. You know, shift things, move stuff. The other thing that I was lucky enough to find this weekend, 5 older price guides. 3 of them, both of them from guys from the Winnipeg Comic Addicts group, which again has just been a lot of fun spending time and just getting to know some of the guys on there and talking to them. Like any sort of group, there's guys you're going to gravitate to more than others. Nothing to say anything about anybody else. It's just the way that it is with stuff. Interests are going to mesh in some areas and not in others. One of the guys, Tony, had listed a bunch of price guides, and he had 3 of them that I needed. He had them priced dirt cheap, like $2 a piece and $4 a piece. So it turned out we actually traded. He came in to drop them off, and I had some stuff for sale downstairs, so he picked out a few books, and I got these in return. So from Tony, I got number 16, a little bit of schmutz on the top there, which I'm going to attempt to clean off. And I mean, when I've talked about these in the past on this channel, when I've had some, they're just a lot of fun to go through. Even if you just, what I did, I was kind of going through them and talking to my wife about it, and I was just tracking Daredevil #1 over these. So this number 16 is 1986 to 1987, and then tracking it through to volume 26. So the other ones I got from him actually are number 22 and number 26. Number 26, I believe, goes to... Is it 93? Now all of a sudden I can't find it. Stand by, sorry. Looks like 95. Yeah, 95, 96? 96, yeah. So just tracking, for example, Daredevil from 1986, 1987 to 1995, 1996, almost a 10-year difference in price guide number 16. Daredevil number 1 in good condition, $30, fine condition, $90, mint condition, $200. Compared to, like I said, about 9 years later. This is what happens when you don't bookmark stuff. Makes for some really just incredible TV. Number 1, good condition, $165. Fine, $495. Very fine, $1,073. New mint, $1,650. So a hell of a jump. So I mean, there's the fun of that for sure. Tracking how rapidly some books leapt in value over the years. But as I've talked about before, some of the other fun things are just looking at the ads. There's usually in some of them there's a color section of covers, which I really get a kick out of seeing some covers there, which will lead me into the next thing. Some of the articles and stuff are fun, but honestly, I really love checking out the ads of companies that were around and what kind of stuff they were specializing in. Also advertisements for other books, like a great ad in this one for Epic Comics. The Boz Chronicles there, Elektra Assassin, Gru the Wanderer, ElfQuest, Alien Legion, Steel Grip Starkey. So that's kind of cool, seeing some house ads for Epic. And then the two that I picked up today, again, I believe, what did he charge me for them? $2 a pop, I think is what it was. Number 19 and number 25. He had quite a stack of them there. There was a lot that I already had, and then some of the later ones, which I'm not as crazy. I kind of want these earlier ones. I think it was in number 19. Speaking of the cover reprints, I was just talking about this on Twitter as well to a guy that I've never heard of before. They have a cover of Weird Horrors number 7 from 1953. I think his first name was William Ekgren, Ekgren. Hopefully you'll be able to make that out. Right up there in the corner. I can't see because there's a big TV in the way. But anyway, if you search up his name online, apparently he only did 3 comic covers in his very short career, kind of back to back at that time. And there's 2 of them. Well, I mean, all of them have this kind of, instead of coloring in a character or a background, it's almost like these maze kind of lines that make it up. Really, really interesting. In the past, I've done some art similar, not to the same degree that he did by any stretch. Just that idea of using these lines to fill in as opposed to a flat color or dots or whatever, you know. So that's kind of cool. So I mean, going through these books just have a lot of potential for some things to come up, including now an artist that I'd love to kind of hunt for and see if I can find any more information out. I did actually find a website where he did some articles on him. It's a website, The Comics Detective. Let's have a look, see if I can actually do this here. Let me have a look. Where's the share screen? Is that screen share? Yes, it is. So let's try to open this one up here. Oh yeah, this is riveting. I know, right? Riveting, people. Start screen share. Here we go. Open this one up. So this is the website here. Hopefully that's working for you. The Comics Detective blog spot. So from 2012, this is one of the articles, and then he links down here to 2 more articles that he's written about William Ekgren. So I've just started reading these. I just discovered these before I went live. Apparently his, was it his daughter? Niece, Erica is William's great niece, and more importantly, a filmmaker. So apparently she did a 6-minute short on him called Quartet the Card, and was working on something a little more long form at this time, where she was interviewing people that either knew him or were fans of his work. A lot of dead links on this one since it's from 2012. So that kind of starts me on the journey of finding out. Stop screen share. There we go. Sorry for that effect there. So that's kind of cool. I mean, you know, going down these rabbit holes can lead to something for sure. So that's the price guides. One of the guys today, Dan at Thirsty's, was talking to me about he had a Xerox copy or photocopied version of number 1, and was saying that if it's been recreated the exact same size as the original, it's more of like an ash can kind of version as far as size goes, which is kind of cool. I'd love to just see, you know, the first couple. The earliest one that I have is number 8 from whatever year we got here. This one here, number 8. From 1978, 1979. So I'd love to see some of the earlier ones. And I mean, the earliest ones, from what I understand, I think they used to have I know in some of the newer ones, I think at the back of them, they have a price guide for the price guides, a couple of pages where they go through each of them and kind of what prices they're at, which I seem to remember being outrageous, because I think the most I've paid for a price guide beyond buying them brand new is probably around the $7 mark. I've found these for pretty damn cheap. So I don't really, I guess like a lot of comics and things like that, I don't really understand how some of this comes to the prices that it comes to. I guess there's people out there that pay for them, but the ones that I've got, even for like $7 or $8, are still in really, really nice shape. You know, some of those early ones, like issue number 10 here in a hardcover, is in beautiful condition, almost like it's never been read. And that one was $7 when I bought it. So, you know, surprise, surprise, the price guide giving you inflated prices for even copies of the price guide. Anyway, it would be great to see some of those early ones, I think. And then from Dan, he had the bins that are always just chock full of really great stuff. There were some dollar bins, but he gave me a deal on stuff as he normally does, which I always appreciate, because again, I always find something. And one that I was really excited about, this was the only, I've been looking for this one for quite a while now, and when I do see it, it's usually going for a number of dollars more than I'm willing to pay for it. As much as I love Freak Brothers and Ripoff Press, and 3D comics in general, it doesn't have the glasses, no big deal. I've got plenty of 3D glasses in the other 3D comics that I have. Yeah, for some reason, this one just goes for a few dollars, and I don't quite know why. It's reprints, maybe because it's a 3D. I don't really know. Anyway, so that was a nice score there. And then just a random stack of stuff, some Eclipse, some First Comics, and then some other oddities, and filling in some gaps. I don't have any more of this series, but because it's Eclipse and it was cheap, I wanted a copy of this. The Masked Man. The art inside doesn't appeal to me too much, but again, in on my mission of completing my Eclipse collections and Pacific collections, if they're cheap enough, even if the art isn't really speaking to me, I'll pick them up just for the completist in me. I really like this cover quite a bit. Psychoblast, number 4 from First Comics. A little bit of a Ditko influence there for sure. It feels like to me. And then even on the first page, I love whatever's going on those screens, some sort of readings of somebody. Yeah, very cool. So this one might have something to it, we'll see. But a title I've not heard of before, but again, if it's cheap enough, I'll give it a shot. This next one, this cover jumped out at me, and then digging through the bins a little later on, found a bunch of them. So based on kind of this cover art and some of the interiors, I figured I'd give it a try. From Aircel, I've got a couple of things from Aircel, but this one's called Maelstrom. This is issue number 4. When I saw this was the first one that jumped out at me, and then I found the rest later. Really like that cover quite a bit. Mostly black and white with just a little bit of color poking out here and there. I don't know, there's something about it. Really impressive. Dig it quite a bit. And then inside is kind of more of the same. Not quite as beautiful as the cover there, but and it looks like there might be a couple of different stories with different artists in it throughout. So that'll be interesting just to get a sense of what this is. So I found he had issue number 1 and number 2 and number 3. Hell of a cover there. And then I showed already number 4. Up, number 5. Number 6. And I think number 8 here. Yeah, number 8. I think it only went, when I was looking in CLZ, because it is actually there, believe it or not, I think it only went to 10 or 12. So managed to pick up most of it. A series that I've heard about, I haven't actually started to look for. I can't imagine it's going to be impossible to find, but he had a single issue of it. Jonah Hex, Two Gun Mojo from Vertigo, issue 4 of 5, with Joe R. Lansdale doing the writing and Timothy Truman doing the art. So that's very cool. I'm looking forward to picking up the rest of these. Yeah, that'll be great. Read about it in one of the Truman articles in Comics Journal. But, I mean, it's classic Truman art. So that'll be very cool. Looking forward to getting the rest of that. Not a fan, really, of Michael Moorcock, of what I've read so far. But I keep finding these. They just show up every so often. And now that I've got a lot of, especially the Elric series, I keep picking them up anyway. The art is usually pretty fantastic in these ones, and I just posted this to show Damien Sleepy Reader. Michael Moorcock's The Chronicles of Corum, The Knights of the Sword. This is issue number 3. The thing that was interesting about this one to me was Mike Mignola doing the pencils and Kelly Jones doing the inks there. Hopefully that's focusing. There you go. Now focused. So that's kind of an appealing combination to me. In my mind, seemingly they don't really go together, but flipping through this one, it looks pretty great. So I'm looking forward to kind of having a read through these ones. I thought I had some Corum that I'd picked up before. My CLZ app doesn't show them. Doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have them. I may just have not entered them So yeah, found that one there, and then another from a Corum series called The Bull and the Spear, and this is issue number 1. Hello, Paolo. YouTube warned me only 19 minutes after you started. They're getting better. Well, that's good. I should have posted on the Twitter. And then this Corum as well with another Magnola cover. But let's have a look who does the interiors here. Focus. There we go. That's sort of focusing. Is that focusing? It's not really focusing. Not sure what's going on with that camera today. Art by Jill Thompson. Colors by Ray Murtaugh. Script by Mark Shaneblum. There's a look at those. Those interiors aren't too bad either. I kind of like these. Yeah, so as much as I might not be a fan of Moorcock's writing as much, I think I've said it in videos before. I don't want to just always rehash myself, but fantasy is something I never really fully got into ever. So that type of world doesn't always appeal to me. But again, the artists that he has attached to some of these, they always look pretty great. So I always pick them up. And again, they're usually dirt cheap. I'm not finding these. I'm not seeing these out there for $5 an issue. And then finally, I found, for the Michael Moorcock stuff, Hawkmoon, The Sword of the Dawn, which is the only issue in this miniseries that I have now. Issue number 2. 2 of 4, I think, with a pretty great cover there. Like I said, on Twitter, I love those. I love those. I'm really interested in Moorcock's universe. Yeah. And then a friend of mine gave me one of his novels, Cain of Old Mars, a copy of John Carter. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing in this, in the DC series where they had the kind of stuff based on sci-fi novels. Helix, it was the name that I'm trying to search for. Helix. They did Michael Moorcock's Multiverse. I've got most of those. I remember starting to read them and not minding them. This one looks pretty great, actually. I haven't flipped through this one yet, but there's the first page. That's a very appealing layout. I kind of dig that. And who are we? Who do we got there? Sorry, this one I need my glasses for. It's dark writing. Roger Salek, scripter. Raphael Kaynan, Kayyanan is the artist. Carrie Spiegel, letter. And Terry, I believe that says Bieber, Beaber, colorist. So that looks pretty good. Hey, you know the main character from Mobius's Airtight Garages in Moorcock? I actually did not know that, Mr. Costa, Paolo Costa. Thank you very much for that little nugget. I had actually no idea. That's interesting. And there you go. There's a look at those interiors there too. The beauty of the YouTube. Even I hung out at Dan's booth for a little while today, even just hanging out and chatting with them, and then a couple other guys have kind of cycled through. It's just great to kind of sit and pick people's brains on stuff, because I mean, everybody within any sort of hobby, but specifically this one, everybody has their kind of a little bit more specialty stuff that they like, or just their knowledge base is always going to be different from yours, right? So his name is Jerry Cornelius in some printings, but he was changed to a new name in more recent reprints as Moorcock took back his open source license. Interesting. And just to kind of get that perspective and hear about some books that maybe I would never be talking about, and vice versa. You know, he had a couple of things. He had one of the Interface comics, so I was talking to him about how good that Espers was, and Interface. So, you know, it's just fun kind of hanging out and chatting with people. And after a long, by no means brutal search, finally managed to find number 3 of 3 from the Eclipse miniseries, Luger. I have not yet read the first 2. This hopefully will, now that I have all 3 issues, this will prompt me to to read all three of them back to back. I mean, that's kind of the stuff we were talking about, because he was talking about he'll come across these more indie titles and he just won't know what to do with them, you know, because he doesn't know much about these companies. And kind of what we were talking about is that's kind of the fun for me going through stuff like Eclipse. I mean, at this point, I've sort of know what Eclipse is going for to some degree, but there is still surprises, and that's what's kind of fun of some of these companies. It's hit and miss, for sure. It's hit and miss. You're going to get some stuff that's a lot of fun and a really good read. You're going to find some duds for sure. I picked up this, and then I was looking in CLC, and I see that they don't have all of them listed, so I may have actually picked up a double, which isn't the end of the world. The Epsilon Wave issue number 3. This was Sea Dragon, who's here on the back. The team that he was with before his miniseries. And I'd started reading Sea Dragon, actually, and some of the Epsilon Wave. It's just a fun little book. Something about the art just really, really appeals to me quite a bit. And those colors, for sure. But there you go. So this actually might be a double. But there you go. And then saw these. He had most of them, just missing one issue. I think issue number 3, it looks like. Yeah. Eternity Comics, again, a company, an indie company that I've heard of. I'd never seen this one before, though. This is called 50s Terror, classic pre-code horror. And in true rip-off indie fashion, they don't list any of the artists, which is always... I know that I'm not the first person, and I won't be the last person to say it. It's always frustrating. At least, though, they do give you the stories, titles, and where they came from. I don't know if that's focusing. It doesn't look focused to me, but that might just be my eyes. They do give you the title and the year when they first came out, and what issue. So, for example, Kiss and Kill originally appeared in Witch's Tale number 20 from August of 1953. So at least they give you some of that. And I do realize that with some of these, even at the time, they weren't giving creators credit too. So I do understand that some of this is coming from comics where there was no credit even on the originals. I would hope, though, at this point, some of that mystery has been solved. I'm sure there's people who have been tracking some of these old horror and finding out who was doing what. Just would have been nice if you're going to reprint some of the material to go that extra step and find out what you can. But again, I know it's not totally their fault. And then 50s Terror number 2. I'm really fascinated by the 50s, the pre-code horror specifically. Some of the garish covers just are completely amazing to me. Really, really incredible. But I don't think, beyond reprints, as much as I would love to have my hands on an L.B. Cole cover, an actual comic from L.B. Cole, or some early Wolverton, or just, this Ekgren who I was talking about at the beginning. Like, some of that stuff is great. I would love, eventually, it would be great to get my hands on an original, but until then, some of these reprints are just kind of fun to look through. So that's number 2, and then number 4. 50s Terror. Number 5. Pretty crazy looking cover there. And then finally, number 6. 4 classic tales of horror. Yeah, same thing. So it does tell you, again, yeah, Chamber of Chills from 1952, Witchcraft from 1952 as well. Very cool. Those are going to be a lot of fun to go through, for sure, and just see what's what. Awesome. He had quite a lot of Dark Horse Presents, unfortunately for me. Most of them I had. There was a couple of issues that I didn't have, though. Number 38 and number 42. So that was good. Marvel Age 121. Only reason I picked it up was Ren and Stimpy on the front. I love Ren and Stimpy, so I thought this would be interesting to check out. I assume it's talking about the comic that was coming out. Oh yeah, there we go. New team on the block. Think of Marvel and you think of great team comics. The team of Ren and Stimpy. So there you go. An article on that. That'll be fun. Right on. Blackthorn Publishing. Blackthorn's 3-in-1. I believe there was only 2 issues of this. So this is great because I do like Blackthorn. And then even more amazingly to me is this Merlin Realm, which I have in 3D, The Blind Seeking Shadows of Doubt. At least I think this was the same one that they did in 3D. And if you saw quite a while ago now, I don't remember exactly when, I was looking at the 3D comics that I have, and this one blew me away, this Magic Realm, or Merlin Realm, rather. The 3D in it. Yeah, I think this is the same one because I remember that panel here. The 3D was just unfreaking believable. Really, really amazing. And this story was actually pretty great too, from what I remember. So that's cool to have the non-3D version anyway. Another, as I slowly collect Whisper, single issue of that from First Comics, issue number 15 from 1988. Another good run completed, which I'm looking forward to reading as well. Axel Press Button from Eclipse slash, what is that, Quality Comics, that symbol up here. So I managed to find the rest of this mini-series, which will be great to read. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, where Axel becomes slave of the narco pollen. Pretty great art in these as well. And then finally number 6. Yeah, that's right, from Warrior Magazine. That's correct. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like a fun one for sure. That'll be good to read that one. And then I think, what was the other series? Axel Press Button and Laser Eraser or something like that. I think it was. I think I have a couple issues of that. And as much as, yeah, anyway, I won't even say anything more. Strange Days presents the Johnny Nemo magazine. It was the one I was missing from that miniseries as well. It says on the front here 1 of 6, but I'm pretty sure there was only 3 issues of it. So this is by Milligan and Ewins. Is that how you say the name? Let's have a look inside here. Oh, it just says Art Ewins, E-W-I-N-S. There you go. There's a look at that. So that was cool. The one I needed. There was 2 issues. I picked up 2 issues that he had, and my CLZ was incorrect. I had the other one already. The Liberty Project, another Eclipse. I don't know anything about this title. Again, it's dirt cheap and it's Eclipse, so I thought I'd give it a shot. Number 7 and number 8. Another Eclipse, Strike, single issue, the only one I have. Again, don't know anything about this one either. There we go. Managed to find a couple of Coyote. He had a number of them, but the other ones were issues that I had already. This is Coyote number 13, and then a backup story, Scorpio Rose as well, which is kind of cool. I know that Scorpio Rose had a 2-issue. Oh yeah, well, this looks familiar right away, so I have a feeling when she got her own issue, it was just reprints of these, because that looks familiar to me. So that'll be great. And then a ridiculous cover, Coyote meets Badger. This is issue number 14. couple of buds hanging out, having a brewski together, spreading our legs, you know, just hanging out, no big deal. While someone peeks in through the window. Weirdest fucking cover I've ever seen. And that's saying something. I have Liberty Project, IDW or something, did a digest trade paperback reprint. Awesome. Tom Ryan, hello. Badger, yeah, I've never read any Badger, to be honest. Maybe it's something I'll dig into next. Early McFarlane work on that Coyote 13. Oh, interesting. Hey, let's have a look inside. Now that you say that, let's have a little peek. Steve Englehart, Chaz, Frank Springer, Orzechowski. There might be a couple of different stories. His name doesn't appear there, but not necessarily the way it is. Well, check that out. Nice. Look at that. That's fantastic. Love it. Coyote beats the Badger. And then, much to my surprise, 3 issues. This is the last of the stuff here. 3 issues of Cheval Noir, which is really great because there are a couple of early issues in here that I do not have, so they fill some much needed gaps. Issue number 11. And again, I've touted this series plenty of times on this channel. Really, really great. So I mean, just have a look at that page of what's reprinted in this one. Some Drier, Brian Boland, The Tower, Scoyton and Peters, Jacques Tardy, Roach Killer. So really, really great stuff in here. So that's a cool score. And then the other early one is number 16, which still has the trading card inside. Ooh, so that's cool. 2 of those, and then the last one here, a later Cheval Noir, issue number 31. So that's great. Dave Stevens did have some great covers in that run. Yeah, and then interior, there was some of the early ones. There was always, let's see if he's in here before I say. Yeah, so then there was some Jeff Darrow as well, some incidental art by Jeff Darrow normally in these early ones as well too, mostly just on like that, the inside cover or the title page, that sort of thing. Sometimes the back cover too, although this one isn't because it's a wraparound cover there. But yeah, Stevens did have some fantastic covers. Really, really great series. Love Cheval Noir quite a bit. Anyway, that's it. Haven't really been picking much of anything up. That's the first time I've even been to, it's the first time I've been to Thirsties in I don't know how long. It's been a hell of a long time. So it was nice to find some stuff, fill in some gaps. Like I said, mostly lately it's been selling. There's another mini convention coming up in September, I believe. So I'll probably end up doing it just because the boxes that I have left of stuff, it's time for them to go. I don't want them to come back into the house. I want them gone. I want them done. And yeah, of course, we'll be around when we do our next Saga of the Swamp Thing. In a couple of weeks, was it, Paolo? I can't remember the date off the top of my head. I believe it was, maybe it was 2 weekends from today, possibly. Anyway, so that'll be like volume 2 and volume 3 of that run. So looking forward to that one for sure. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it. And it was nice to see you. We'll talk to you later.